Today we're jumping into a foundational story about a family that gets an impossible choice. Walk away from everything you've ever known and loved, or stay behind and face total destruction. It's a story about faith, family rebellion, and a wild journey into the unknown, all from the opening book of a text called the Book of Mormon. So let's just start with this question. And, really think about it for a second. What would it take for you to do that? A life or death threat? An unbelievable promise? A direct command from God? Because that's the exact situation at the very heart of this story. All right, let's set the scene. Our story kicks off with the head of the family, a man named Lehi. He's living in Jerusalem, and he starts having these powerful visions that the city is headed for disaster. But the real trigger, the thing that sets everything in motion, comes to him in a dream. Now, Lehi hasn't exactly been quiet about these visions. He's been out there preaching to the people, and, well, they're not fans. The message he gets is brutally clear. Because of what you've been saying, people want you dead. Your life is in real danger. And boom, there it is, the command that changes their lives forever. It's not a gentle suggestion. It's a direct order to pack up his entire family and leave. And not to a new town or a neighboring country, but straight into the wilderness. No map, no plan, just an order to go. So what does Lehi do? He obeys. And this choice has a massive, immediate price tag. You can't even imagine the shock of this moment, the sheer cost of that decision. And look at how specific the text is. They didn't just leave some stuff behind. They left their house, their ancestral land, the ground that defined who their family was for generations, and all their wealth, gold, silver, you name it. They basically hit the delete button on their entire status and history. And this really shows you the stark reality of their new life. They traded a world of comfort and stability for the absolute bare minimum for survival. Each other, some food, and whatever shelter they could carry. Just try to picture that whiplash, going from a wealthy citizen to a homeless nomad, literally overnight. So, as you can probably guess, a decision this extreme doesn't exactly get a round of applause from everyone in the family. And this is where the main conflict really catches fire. Not from some outside threat, but from right inside their own tent, starting with the two oldest sons, Laman and Lemuel. This lays out the family divide perfectly. It's a fundamental clash of worldviews. Lehi believes he's a visionary man doing exactly what God told him to do, but his sons, they think he's completely lost it. They see him chasing what they call the foolish imaginations of his heart and dragging them all toward ruin for no good reason. And their complaining, the text calls it murmuring, is constant. This isn't just a small disagreement, it's a deep-seated fear. They are absolutely convinced that their father has led them out into the desert to die. The trust between them has completely shattered. And here's the key to understanding why they're so angry. For them, Jerusalem is the center of the universe. It's a huge, powerful city. The idea that it could just be destroyed, that sounds completely insane. They're trusting what they can see with their own eyes, while their father is asking them to trust something he saw in a dream. But while all this family drama is going on, we see a totally different approach from one of the younger sons, Nephi. While his brothers are complaining and getting angry, he decides to do something else entirely. See, unlike his brothers, who just complain about their father, Nephi takes his questions straight to the source. He doesn't want to just take his dad's word for it. He wants to know for himself. He has this deep desire to understand what's really going on, so he asks God directly. And what happens? He gets an answer. That personal search pays off, and he receives his own confirmation that his dad is on the right track. His heart is softened, meaning he believes. He gets on board with the mission, which, as you can imagine, puts him on a direct collision course with his older, much angrier brothers. Because of this act of faith, Nephi gets something incredible. He receives a direct promise from God, a kind of covenant that lays out a whole new future, not just for him, but for his descendants. It's basically the reward for enduring this insane journey.
And this promise comes with strings attached. It's an if-then deal. If you keep the commandments, then you'll prosper, and you'll be led to a new land. And then there's that last one. You, Nephi, will be made a ruler over your brothers. You can just feel the family tension ratcheting up with that one, right?
But with that amazing promise, there's also a heavy warning. The consequences for continuing to rebel are serious. If Laman and Lemuel keep fighting the plan, they'll be spiritually cut off. This pretty much cements the split in the family and sets up two completely different destinies that will echo for generations.
And that really brings us to the big takeaway here.
This story isn't just about a family argument in the desert. It's an origin story, where a deep personal conflict between faith and doubt, obedience and rebellion, becomes the very foundation for two separate nations. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many of the biggest divisions in history really just started with a family feud?